لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. We continue with the Kitab Al-Salah and mentioning the act that invalidates the Salah. Among these acts is intentionally eating or drinking during the Salah. This would invalidate the Salah, and everyone among the people of knowledge agree, which is a consensus, that if any person intentionally eats or drinks during the Salah, his Salah is invalidated and he is to repeat the Salah, and this ijma' is transferred by Ibn al-Munzir rahimahullah ta'ala. And this is the same for the nawafil and the fard as well. So no person is allowed to eat or drink whether he's praying enough or a fard. Speaking intentionally during the salah would invalidate the salah, and we've mentioned the story of the companion Zayd ibn Arqam, where he said, we used to take while we were in salah, and the person would speak to the person next to him until the verse was revealed, and stand before Allah in devout obedience. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. And when we were then commanded to observe silence during the salah, and this is related by the proof. And the other hadith we did, hadith of Muawiyah bin Hakam, radiallahu anhu, where he said that he was praying after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and someone in the congregation sneezed, and he said to him, "May Allah have mercy upon you, yarhamukallah." So the companions stared at him, showing a disapproval. He said, "Wow to me, why do you stare at me so?" And they started to clap their thighs with their hands. And after the salah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, "This salah is not like everything. If you are in the salah, you have to be for the salah is glorifying for Allah and extolling His greatness and reciting the Quran. So talking to others is not seemly during the salah." The other thing that invalidates the salah is intentionally making many motions, to move too much during the salah. Scholars differ over what exactly constitutes a few and many motions. So how much is considered few and how much is considered many. Actually, there are some debates about this. Some say that one makes many motions when it's seen from behind. One would be certain that he was not performing the salah. Like if you're looking for someone from behind and you see that he is scratching his hair or his head, or he is sneezing and using a handkerchief to sneeze or something like that, this you wouldn't say that he is not in a salah. But if you say, if you're looking for someone from behind and you can see him going there and here and to the right and the left and moving in circles, you will be sure that he is not praying. Okay? On the contrary, if you see someone standing and he moves few steps in the same direction of the Qibla and he maintains the same direction, like 3 or 4 steps forward or backwards, you wouldn't be sure that he's not in salah. He might be in salah or might not be. So if you observe things that is certainly, if someone saw, he would say this person certainly is not in a salah. So this is considered many motion and the salah is invalidated. Some others say that it is any act or thing of action which would make others believe that the person is not praying, which is the same meaning more or less. And now we say if a person performs a lot of actions that are not part of the salah, he invalidates his salah. and on this point there is no difference of opinion. If the acts are few, then they do not invalidate the salah, and on this point there is also no difference of opinion. This is the exact position. However, there does exist a difference of opinion over what exactly constitutes a few action and many action. So the problem is what is considered few and what is considered many. And there exists four opinions on this point. He says that the fourth opinion is the correct and most popular opinion. The fourth opinion is that the exact definition of too much and too little are determined by generally accepted standards. One is not harmed in his salah by common acts, such as nodding in reply to a salutation. Like if someone came in and you are in salah and he says Salaam Alaikum and you nod your head, this is not too much movement and this is accepted. Taking off one's shoes, like if someone is praying in his shoes and he can take off the shoe during the salah, this does not invalidate the salah. Okay? And raising the head dress and putting it back in place, like if someone is putting a imama over his head and he can raise it and put it aside during the salah. It's not too much motion actually. And putting or taking a light garment, like if you're in a salah and you're wearing, for example, a sweater or a jacket or something like that, you can simply take it off or put it on. It's like whether it's going cold or something, you can do that. And this is not a much of movement as well. Okay. Carrying or holding a small child. Okay, if you're carrying a child in the salah, or even if you're putting the child down, or if you're taking him from the ground up, this all can be done. Preventing someone from passing in front of a person in prayer. Like if someone is passing in front of you and you push him with your hand, or you kept him by just blocking him by your arm or forearm or whatever. Covering one's spittle in one's clothing and similar other actions. If one spits, he can put it in a handkerchief or a piece of tissue or whatever. This does not invalidate the salah. As for other acts, those which are considered to constitute many actions, like taking many consecutive steps or performing actions repeatedly, this would invalidate the prayer. And now we also say the scholars are in agreement that many actions invalidate the prayer if they are performed consecutively, one after the other. If one separates the action, for instance, taking a step and then stopping for a while, then taking another step or two, and then stop, and then taking another 2 steps after a while between them, then the salah will not be harmed, even if this manner should take 100 or more steps. Like if he moves and stops and moves and stops in between. There is no difference of opinion on this point, as per the Nawawi, rahimahullah. As for the light action, he continues, such as moving one's finger in glorifying Allah or itching and so forth, these do not invalidate the prayer according to the well-known authentic opinion, even when they are done repeatedly and consecutively, but they are disliked. Al-Shafi'i in statement concerning it says, even if one counts the verses on one finger, it would not invalidate the salah, but it is best to be avoided. So the ruling between what's too much and too few of the actions is the common sense. What normal person would consider things that are not accepted to be done during the salah, or that are thought to be too much of action during the salah. Intentionally leaving out an essential act or condition of the prayer without any valid excuse for doing so definitely is an act that invalidates the salah. So if a person leaves an essential act or a condition of the prayer, this would invalidate the salah. Al-Bukhari and Muslim record that the Prophet ﷺ told a Bedouin who had not performed his salah well, return and pray, for you have not prayed. Which points out to that if you did not do the right performance of each and every condition or act, this would invalidate the salah. Ibn Rushd, rahimahullah, he writes, there is an agreement that if one prays and he is not in a state of purity, it is obligatory for him to repeat the prayer. That is true if the act, even if the act was done intentionally or out of forgetfulness. Similarly, one who prays without facing the Qibla, intentionally or due to forgetfulness, he must repeat the salah. In general, if any of the conditions for the correctness of the salah are absent, it becomes obligatory to repeat the salah. So as we mentioned very earlier, the salah has arkan, which are the conditions, and wajibat, which is the must do, and sunan, which is the sunan that if you did the arkan, if you missed anyone, you have to repeat the salah. And it's not allowed that you would make, for example, sujood sahw, because sujood sahw is not enough for correcting a rukn, but it is enough for correcting a wajib. So if you miss the wajib, like the middle tashahhud, for example, or reading a surah or some verses after the Fatiha, you can make sujood sahw. Smiling or laughing during the salah. Ibn Munzir records that there is a consensus opinion that laughing during the salah invalidates the prayer. And now we say this is the case if one laugh aloud and produces sound. Most of the scholars say that there is no problem with smiling if one is overcome by laughter and cannot control it. His salah will not become invalid if it is in the of minor nature. If it is a hearty laughter, it will invalidate the salah. Customs would determine whether it is major or minor laughter. So whether it is just a smile or a minor laugh that you wouldn't produce sound, this can be accepted. But if it is the other way around, this is not accepted and this would invalidate the salah. Now let's come to making for the missed salah or the qada of the missed salah. The scholars agree that it is obligatory for one who has forgotten the salah or slept over it to make up the missed prayer as a qada. And this opinion is based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that was mentioned before. There is no negligence while one is asleep, but forgetfulness occurs when one is awake. If one of you forgets the prayer or sleeps through its time, then he should perform the salah when he recalls it. من نام عن صلاته أو نسيها فليصليها حين يذكرها. Whoever slept over his salah or forgot his salah, let him pray it immediately at the time that he would remember it. Actually, there is a point here. Sometimes a person would sleep over, and for instance, he slept before the time, and he wake up after Asr. Now he missed the time of the Dhuhr prayer. What should happen is, he should, once he awake, the very first thing to do is to make wudu and salat. It's not allowed that he would delay the salah, like, okay, I'll go and have lunch, and then I'll have a phone call, and then I can do some study, and then I'll do the Dhuhr and Asr afterward, maybe 1 hour later or so. The hadith says, whoever slept over his salah or forgot his salah, let him pray it immediately when he remembers. So you have to observe, because if you did not do that, you would be delaying the salah behind its time. Because now it's already missed 4, and it is a qada salah, and it should be done immediately. So if one forgets the prayer or sleeps its time, then he should perform the salah when he recalls it. If one falls unconscious, then he needs not repeat the salah unless he regains his consciousness with enough time to purify himself and perform the salah within its proper time. Abdul Razzaq relates from Nafi' that Ibn Umar once fell sick and became unconscious and missed the prayer. When he regained his consciousness, he did not make up the missed prayer. Ibn Jurayj reports from Ibn Tawus on the authority of his father that if a sick person becomes unconscious, he is not to make up the prayers that he missed. Muhammad relates, I asked Al-Zuhri about one who becomes unconscious, and he says that he is not to make up the salah he missed. Also, Hamad ibn Salama relates from Yunus ibn Ubayd that both Al-Hasan al-Basri and Muhammad ibn Sirin said that a person who falls unconscious is not to make up the prayers that he may miss. And this makes the difference between a patient like who's in a coma or he slept over. Okay. Now comes the question for the anesthesia. If a patient is in an operation and he has the drug and he slept, he went into anesthesia from before both till after hours. What he should do?
Pray after the operation.
He should make the qada as if he was sleeping, but he knew actually before he went to sleep. If you knew that you're going to sleep over a prayer, it is not allowed for you. It's haram. You should not go intentionally to sleep before Maghrib and you prepare yourself to wake up after Isha prayer or after Isha time, because you know by intention that you will miss the time for Maghrib. You should not do that. But in the case of anesthesia, it's different. This is an operation and it might be a must and things like that. So in such a situation, what you can do is to gather the prayers, like if you're on travel. So you would go to the operation with the intention that you would gather Dhuhr and Asr at the time of the Asr. Okay? So it would be like that. How if the operation complicated and it stays the level king? Well, if you consider that the person doing an operation was asleep, so he should repeat or make for the missed prayer all as a qada. But if you would consider him as he was unconscious, you would consider that he should not repeat or make for the missed prayer as qada. And things are not so clear in this point. There are debates.
The unconscious one is still like unhealthy mental state.
And the first one, well, but you can consider, yes, you can consider him like an unconscious on one hand. On the other hand, you can consider him as a person in sleep, because he can be awake just by giving him the reversal dose of the anesthesia. So he's not like in a person who is unconscious, that you don't know when he will regain his consciousness. You know. So it's a matter of debate. But on any account, if it's an elective operation, it would be more out of the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have it in a time that would not let you miss the salah. Okay? And if it is an emergency operation, so nothing is wrong any time, because this would be la darar wa la dirar, no harm. And no harming. Okay. Concerning missing a salah intentionally, the majority of the scholars say that it is a sin and a missed salah must be made up for. This is a point of major debate. If a person missed a salah intentionally, would he make for the salah or not? Ibn Taymiyyah says, in law, there is no way for one who leaves the salah intentionally to make it qada. So there is no meaning to make a qada salah that you have left intentionally while you're awake, while you're conscious, and you did not forget about the salah. He may, however, this is the words of Ibn Taymiyyah, he may, however, resort to increasing his voluntary and supererogatory acts. As you remember the hadith, that the very first thing that the person would be held account for during the day of resurrection is the salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, look for the salah of my slave. If it is complete and right, or else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, look whether my slave has nawafil or tatawwa. If he has nawafil or tatawwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say to the angels, take from his tatawwa to complete the defect in his fariḍah. Okay? And it will be the same with all the deeds and the actions. So if a person missed some of the salawat, what he should do is to have an excess of the nawafil. He's saying concerning the one who leaves the salah intentionally until its time expires, he will never be able to make up for that salah. Such a person should turn to Allah and ask His forgiveness and increase his good deeds and nawafil in order to increase his weight of good on the day of resurrection. Abu Hanifa, Malik, Al-Shafi'i say that he can make up the prayer after its time has expired, and Malik and Abu Hanifa even say that if a person intentionally misses a prayer or a few prayers, then he is to make up those prayers before he prays the present salah, even if he has missed all 5 prayers, and should, while making them up, miss the present salah. They say that if he missed more than 5 prayers, he is to begin by praying the salah whose time is present, and then he is to make up the prayer that he missed. The proof for our position, which is the position of Ibn Hazm, is found in the words of Allah and exalted, "Woe unto the worshippers who are heedless of their prayers." And then there succeeds them a later generation who wasted the prayers and followed their own lusts, but they will meet with destruction. فَخَلَفَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. And the other one, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. So the thing is, the proper thing is, there is no rule for making up for an intentionally left out prayer. But if someone misses the prayer out of forgetfulness or of sleepiness over the time of the prayer, he can at any time, for immediately when he remembered or he woke up, to make for the prayer, which is not the case if he was, or if he felt unconscious. He is not ordered to make up for the prayer if it was unconsciousness and not sleep. Okay, now we come to an important part for us as a medical person, which is a prayer for a person who is ill, for Salatul Marid. Whoever has some excuse due to illness and cannot stand during the first Salah is allowed to pray sitting. If he cannot pray in a sitting posture, he may pray while on his side by making gestures. In such case, his gestures for sajda should be lower than those for his ruku'. The principle is based on Allah's word and celebrates Allah's praises standing, sitting, and lying on your side. اذكروا الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبكم. And Rabbi Hussain says, I had piles, which is hemorrhoid. So I asked the Prophet ﷺ about the prayer, and he said, offer the salah while standing. And if you cannot do so, pray while sitting. And if you cannot do so, make the salah while lying on your side. And this is related by the group Fiqh Alsunnah. And the Prophet says, and if you cannot offer salah while lying on your side, then do it while lying on your back. Allah does not burden a soul save with what it can bear. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Jabir reports that the Messenger of Allah visited a sick person and found him praying on a cushion. The Prophet ﷺ pushed this aside and said, pray on the ground if you can. If you cannot, then pray by making gestures and make your sajda lower than your ruku'. And this is related by Al-Bayhaqi. You know, the meaning of making gestures is to make moves with the body and the trunk. So this is making gestures. You don't need to pray over a cushion or over a table or over a thing and to put your hand on. To put your head down on, like if you're doing a sujood and you're staying like this on a chair, you don't need to make it like this. This is not the sujood. It's just you would make ruku' like this and make sujood lower down. Just by gesturing and not by touching anything. Okay. What is meant by inability is that a person, if he prays in the regular way, will suffer hardship, or his disease will aggravate, or his recovery would be hampered, or he will soon, if he prays in the customary manner. One should fix cross-legged while praying in a sitting position. Okay? So in a sitting position, you should fix and cross your leg in front of you. Okay? Yes, this. Aisha narrates that she saw the Prophet ﷺ sitting cross-legged while praying, and this is read by Al-Hakim, and he says it's sahih. It's also permissible to sit in the manner that one sits while performing the tashahhud, which is the iftirash. You can sit jalsat al-iftirash, or you can sit cross-legged. One who can offer the salah neither sitting nor standing is to lie down on his side, and if he cannot do that, he is to lie down on his back with his legs towards the Qibla according to his state of health. Ibn Munzir preferred this opinion, and on this point there is a weak hadith reported by Ali which says that the Prophet ﷺ said the sick person is to pray standing if he is able, if he cannot he should pray sitting, if he is not able to make sajda he should nod with his head and make the nod of his sujood lower than that of his ruku'. Some scholars maintain that one can pray in whatever manner easy for him, and it is apparent from the hadith that if one can only nod while lying on his back, then nothing else is obligatory upon him. So, the bottom line is a person should pray by any means. As long as he is conscious, he has to pray. We as Muslims, we should inform Muslims and encourage them to pray during their illness. Most of the patients do not pray during their illness, and they thought that they don't have to pray because they are ill, which is not the case. The fard should be done, and the time for the fard should be observed. He can do it with wudu or with tayammum, or with neither wudu or tayammum, which is we mentioned earlier as salatu faqid al-tuharayn, is a salah for a person who cannot have any of the tahur, which is the water or the dust. He can do it standing, if not sitting, if not lying to side, if not lying on his back, if he cannot move or nod his head even with his eye and without doing any movement of his body. He can do it facing the Qibla, and if he cannot, he can do it even without facing the Qibla. if the person cannot be turned over or so. So we have to observe this and to encourage our patients to always have this message. Inshallah, we stop here tonight, and next time we start with Salatul Khawf, which is the prayer during fear or danger, and how we should do that. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.